Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Wasabi Aquarium channel. Thank you for stopping by. In this episode, I will show you how to renew a tired looking aquascape. Simple, step-by-step instructions as a mini makeover. I will also show you the correct way to remove overgrowth and how to replace the cosmetic sand. The HC Cuba has overgrown over the years since posting the video making this aquarium. I think it's a pretty easy tutorial to follow and you get a good understanding of the layout and structure, so please check it out in the description box below. I'll briefly talk about this aquarium for those who haven't watched that video yet. Originally, the HC Cuba was only planted at the back and the sides of the aquarium. As you can see, it's taken over the front of the aquarium. There used to be visible sand in the front section of the aquarium. The overgrowth has changed the layout that we originally started off with. I can't even see the cosmetic sand at all, and the only thing you can see is the HC Cuba overgrowth. At first glance it looks quite beautiful. However, you'll quickly notice that it's all unplanned overgrowth. This is an aspect that detracts from your overall enjoyment. Keep this in mind if you choose to grow carpeting plants. I think you would agree that carpeting plants are fun to work with. Segmenting and planting carpeting plants all over the substrate. Also at this point, the cosmetic sand is nice and fresh, and of course visible. As time progresses, the plants continually grow into a nice carpet, which always fascinates me. Unfortunately, that's when the honeymoon feeling changes slightly. There's a sense of accomplishment and distaste when the carpet is overgrown. I personally find that the joy factor is detracted and it takes over the aquascape. It's a drawback and a disadvantage. As such, this video should help you lift your mood by doing simple changes to your layout. So, let's do a mini makeover and deal with that HC overgrowth. I will be focusing on the cosmetic sand in the front, and I'm going to expose the sanded area and revive its dull appearance. Even with such an aged layout, the presence of new cosmetic sand in the front gives a high visual impact and gives the aquascape a more natural appearance. Oh, you'll never be tired of it again. It's surprisingly simple to restore the beauty of this tired layout. So, let's get started by doing the actual maintenance. Before working on your aquarium, please consider dropping the water level down in order to prevent spillage. Drain some water out of the tank to a more workable level. The overgrowth is mainly at the front, so it should be a simple enough task to expose the cosmetic sand. You can also apply this technique to an aquarium full of aquasoil, like this aquarium, as I added the cosmetic sand later on. You can easily update your aquascape just by adding something new to the layout. Let's talk about maintenance techniques, starting with the HC Cuba first. Having a good pair of sharp scissors is a must, so let's proceed the snipping process. Please position the scissors vertically and insert into the substrate. Keeping the vertical position, you can then start snipping your desired outline. I'm going to slowly trim my way around to see if it works out. If you feel the carpet is too thick, please plunge the scissors downwards a bit more. Take a firm hold as you snip, and be mindful of the surrounding hardscape and obstacles. I also recommend cutting into little squares as they are all interconnected via runners. It'll be really difficult to pull out if you don't. You might see some granules of soil attached to the roots. Well, this layout is slightly inclined, so it's collapsing from behind. It was a little unexpected. I'll come back to it later. Let's focus on removing the HE cuber. Please watch the video where I made this layout. You'll see what I mean there. We didn't create any stone or barriers to separate the soil and sand. That's the reason why the soil was mixing in now. Okay, let's continue the removal process. I'll fast forward this part. Please consider how wide the cosmetic sand area should be. It's a tad wider than what I originally had. I'll work towards the glass once I'm done here. It's quite difficult to snip an outline. The mini makeover serves as an opportunity to expand the design. Try not to let the scissors touch the glass as much as possible. I think there's a slight incline in substrate here. If I pull from here, the soil will definitely leak, so I'll stop here just in case. We'll cut the outline just before the stone. This will be the end point. After all, cosmetic sand is ugly if it's covered or mixed with soil. I strongly recommend that you don't add sand in areas where soil will leak. In this case, it's better to cover it with foreground plants. Your workable area is within the outline you just cut. Well, can't we just remove the HE cuber within the new boundary now? There's nothing but sand and interconnecting runners on the bottom. So you can't just start plucking out willy-nilly. I recommend that you cut it deeper. You feel it as you snip. It will make the removal process somewhat less challenging. I think I can improve a bit more on the outline. I would like to gradually increase the outline a tad. This should give a more positive impression. It's best to adjust it little by little, just to avoid messing up. This way, you'll find the perfect balance. Okay, this is the aftermath of the HE cuber removal process. Yes, it's difficult to see how much was removed due to the muddy water. At this point, we will need to remove the turbidity in order to see how it went. Let's carry on. If you add fresh sand in now, it will just become dirty due to the turbidity. As the base here is just sand, it's easily pulled out as the roots don't go so deep. But in the case of soil nearby, take a firm grip and pull it out. Due to the fact that this is a soil and sand layer, I have completed the removal process, all by having a firm grip. If it feels heavy to pull, expect soil to spill out as you go. Just be conscious of pulling firmly and take it slow. As you can see here, soil leakage can't be helped. There's quite a bit of soil mixed in, but that's okay. We will correct this by the process of removing the surface layer. Time to siphon out this mess. Please don't use a thin tube as it will just clog and cause issues. I recommend a thicker gauge tube like this pink hose I'm using right here. It's linked in the description box below. Check it out later. There's some areas with soil exposed here. In this case, please stop siphoning that area. We'll fix it by topping up with new cosmetic sand. Please continue siphoning until you see minimum soil and gunk remaining at the front. The aim is to reduce the soil at the front. There you have it. I've siphoned out the sand, and now the foreground is not so mixed in. I didn't focus so much on the rear. Well, as you can see, the current state of the back has considerable amount of sand and soil mixed in. This is the best I can do at this stage. On to the next. I will be topping up new cosmetic sand and prepping for a clean finish. So let's get started. Since I've siphoned out a large amount of mixed soil and sand, I will be adding new sand and leveling it out. Let's start adding new sand. This mini tub is super convenient for this purpose. I've also linked it in the description box below. Check it out later. It's slim and compact, and it's super convenient in cramped places, and it can be dispensed with accuracy. Let's add the cosmetic sand in. I'll start at the front and work my way in. Just like so, lightly touch the mini tub to the front of the aquarium glass. I think it's a good idea to let the sand naturally flow back. Why don't I just dump the sand in? Well, the soil and gunk may mix in again, so it's best to start from the front. Please take your time dispensing the new sand. By doing so, you can clearly see areas that you've missed. To avoid future mixing, you can rescape by adding some sort of separator. This method involves adding a thick layer of sand at the front and carefully raking it to the back. We'll add a bit more sand here. Okay, let's work with this. I recommend using this tool. It's an ADA substrate spatula. As you can see, one end is a narrow triangle and the other end is blade. Quite convenient. Hey! I can use this tool to arrange sand into nooks and crannies. It's a super convenient tool to adjust those fine details, which I do quite often. Well, if you don't have this tool, I guess you can use a large pair of tweezers. So let's continue the sand distribution process. I'm going to add in a little bit more sand. I originally didn't want a thick layer, but due to the soil, I have to resort to adding a bit more. You may stop adding sand at this point to avoid a thick layer. As mentioned earlier, I think it's way better to add in sand and soil barriers. As you can see, the sand is piled quite thick and high at the front. I'm going to rake it out as much as possible, but just be careful, if it's too thin, the soil will just reappear. I think it's difficult to make a compromise with this sort of layout. Okay, here's the end product after refilling the aquarium. How did I go with all that planning and execution? The result is different from the sand area that I had originally. You may have different impressions, but I myself am quite pleased. I think the contrast between the green HD Cuba and the peachy white sand is extremely beautiful. This is all thanks to the sand. I went a little wider than I had originally planned. I mentioned earlier about being tired and unhappy with the aquascape. This mini makeover has definitely made a high impact. Having no exposed soil allows less stressful water changes and maintenance. It's easier because we've minimized the areas where soil can leak. This also prevents the shrimps zooming around and scattering the soil. If you focus on well planning and overall appearance, you're bound to be happy with your mini makeover. As you saw, I poured out a lot of HC Cuba, and I think it's nice seeing some zigzag patterns. I could have done a straight line or a curved outline, but you would feel a little uncomfortable as it takes precision, so I think a zigzag approach is perfect. So, how was the video? I showed you how to renew your tiled layout and give your aquarium a mini makeover. With this method, you can continue enjoying your established layout without having to do a full tank reset. By doing a mini makeover, you're giving new life to your aquarium. Please, do try it. As mentioned earlier, there are a few videos on how this layout was built. Make sure you check them out in the description box below. A few points to cover. Remodeling like this is a simple task and can be done within about an hour. Great for weekends or a lazy afternoon. With your support, I'll continue producing videos to help you at home. I hope you continue supporting us by watching our other videos. If you found this video useful, I'll gladly appreciate it if you like, share and subscribe to the Wasabi Aquarium channel. So, I'll end the video here. I'll see you next time.